I'll give you the example of Zimbabwe in until I think about 2015. When this thing first started, their biggest currency, biggest denomination was about 1,000 Zimbabwean dollars. When it was all said and done, there was a currency denominated 100 trillion Zimbabwean dollars. That's hyperinflation. Crap happens. If you use the approximate future formula under hyperinflation, you're going to be off by quite a bit. In this day and age of calculators and computers, you have no excuse. You know, if you're stranded on an island and you don't have a volleyball to talk to, this may be too old reference. Who knows what I'm talking about? What is it? Castaway, Tom Hanks movie. Okay. So to keep your sanity, you make mental calculations. One of them is what would have been the real rate if the normal is 10% and inflation was 50. You know, if you did approximate, you're going to get negative 40. If you did the actual, you're going to get 1.10 divided by 1.5. I think I made it. My keyboard is a bit sticky. It's going to be about negative 27%. So you're off by about 17%. Other than that, you have no excuse to use the approximate. And I'm warning you right now, if in an exam I ask a question like that, both the exact and the approximate is going to be among the choices. Okay. And if you want to do it mentally and you use approximates, I'm going to get you. I am diabolical. I never said otherwise. And there is nothing wrong with that because you have no excuse. If you don't have a calculator, the exams are going to be in this room. You have a computer. Just use Excel. All right. Now, oh, in this thing, finally, you're going to index this every year. I mean, the last coupon is going to be based on F30 R. Suppose in 30 years, overall prices doubled. Okay. So F0 was 1,000. Doubled means 100% increase. So 30 years from now, your face value is going to be 2,000. So if I'm paying you $22 as the first coupon, the last coupon is going to be $40. Then I'm going to pay you another 2,000. In a normal bond, I pay you only the 1,000 now. In an inflation index bond, if that F30 is 2,000, I actually pay you 2,000. Not only I index your coupon payments to inflation, I also index your final payment or the face value to inflation. So in real terms, the purchasing power of your coupons remains constant. The purchasing power of whatever you could buy for $1,000 right now, you could buy exactly the same things for $2,000 30 years from now. That's what inflation indexing means. Just to give an example, right now for 10-year bonds, real and nominal and real are, come on, the easiest way. There are many ways you can look this up, but I use the CNBC.com. I happen to know the code. If I say US 10 years, no, not UUS. There are three numbers. One of them is the nominal bonds, the standard treasury bonds, and the second one is the TIPS. The nominal is 379, and I'm gonna round the tip one to 158. Can we calculate the implied inflation? I'm gonna call that pi star, implied or expected inflation. And I'm gonna put that expected in scare codes. So that's 1.0379 or 158 minus 1. That's 2.18%. If I did approximate, we would have gotten, come on, there's something seriously wrong with my keyboard. 2.21. As you can see, approximation error is relatively small. When real rate and inflation are small, that's not a bad approximation. Now, I put that expected on the scare quotes. Technically speaking, that is not any statistical expectation or a forecast. It is the rate of inflation at which market overall is indifferent between picking the nominal bonds or tips. Suppose Patel expects that over the next 10 years, overall inflation is going to be 3%. Would you buy the nominal bonds or the tips? Think of it this way. Let's do things using approximately, since we're kind of doing a back of the envelope kind of calculation. If I buy the tips, that's going to yield in real terms 158. So if I expect 3% inflation, add that 3%, I'm going to get something around 458 approximately. On the other hand, if I buy the nominal bonds, I'm going to get only 379. So it's kind of a no-brainer. In that case, I'm going to prefer the inflation protected one. But, if number one thinks that the inflation is going to be only 1%, he's going to prefer the nominal because nominal gives you 379. Based on his expectation, if he ends up being correct, he's going to get about 258, 158 plus 1, approximately speaking. So anytime your inflation expectations are higher than that implied expectation or the break-even inflation, you want to prefer tips. Otherwise, you want to prefer the nominal. You can even get a series. For example, there's a number called, and Fed follows it quite a bit, 5-year forward, 5-year inflation rate. This is market's expectation of what the average inflation is going to be from years 6 to 10. Fed kind of calculates this on an approximation basis, but it's not too bad. There's a database for a lot of economic quantities. It's called FRED, short for Federal Reserve Economic Database. It is maintained by Fed St. Louis or St. Louis, depending upon your accent. That was one of the first shops I had when I came to Kentucky. And somebody gave me an address. This is before, you could look crap up. And I asked somebody, how could I go to Versailles? He says, what? Where? He says, isn't that in Paris? I said, no, this is, yes. Oh, you mean Marseilles? No, I mean Versailles. So St. Louis, among other things, I can look 5 year forwards, 5 year inflation. I don't think, there you go. This is over the last 5 years. During COVID times, that number was about 120, around one. Right now, it's about 230. All right. You could also look at the implied inflation. I think there is another 5 year one. Oh, 5 year break even inflation rate. Again, Fed calculates this using approximations. Back in COVID times, it was almost zero. And now it went as high as 3.5 in the first part of 2022.